Good afternoon, all. Welcome to the 23 Data Camp. I hope you all find today's and tomorrow's sessions valuable. We look forward to any feedback that you can give us as these camps are directed to aiding our community as best we can. So all the sessions that we plan are critical to get your feedback to make sure we're giving you what you need to be more successful for all our programs. And to that point, what I'll get into is just a quick introduction, I hope, is about the future, about the work that we're doing coming up, because we're in some very interesting times, I believe, around data and analytics, the direction of CMS and the quality programs, changes coming up in how to use our environments and et cetera. Some of what I say may be redundant to some of the other information that people are giving you, so I apologize for that, but I speak from the 80,000 foot level. So to that point, just a little summary of my division. So the Division of Engineering and Architecture is responsible for most of the quality system shared services leveraged by every program within CCSQ. We support, and that includes data and analytics, other services that are common like HARP and managed file transfer, Confluence, all the collaboration tools, Slack, et cetera, anything that's common between every major program. So with data analytics in focus today, that particular scope of work evolving, almost monthly at this point, we are bringing more powerful tools, less central tool specific, but more choice for our analytic communities. And that is obviously more training, more awareness, more standards, more evaluation on a constant basis about what is needed in our environment based on new, even existing or new program initiatives. So as mentioned in the kickoff video, Databricks is our last current big effort here, bringing a lot of power to our analytics capabilities, a lot of available libraries out there for use in the community in order to achieve new and interesting ways of evaluating our petabyte or more of quality data that is available and growing, just to let everyone know. A lot of the initiative, as the theme of today, is come to the data. For the past decade or so much of CCSQ's data has been shared to our external partners, our contractors, in order for kind of stovepipe evaluation of the data, right? A deliverable is created and delivered back to CMS, and CMS is looking at deliverable. So in the name of transparency, in the name of security, in the name of evaluating the quality of our data, both how our programs ingest it and how they read and evaluate it, we're looking at bringing more of the analytics in-house. And with that said, the disclaimer I always gave, I gave this on the QualityNet conferences. If you have any concerns or questions specific around your unique contracts, your individual contracts, by all means, work with your core. They will set up the proper meetings, make sure that we have a discussion on what it means specifically to your contracts. So please don't make any natural assumptions today. Take it through your core. We will work with you on what it means to you and your contracted deliverables. So with the innovation that we're bringing, Databricks, with the capability that it brings, we've also expanded the use of our dashboarding capabilities. Using QuickSight is our common tool that we're using in our environment. With that tooling, it does allow a better presentation to our CMS and business partners with data that traditionally has been presented in PDFs or Excel spreadsheets or Word documents, right? It gives us a better and more dynamic way of presenting data, real-time updates, et cetera, within our community. We're looking to grow that capability, right? Get that more visual aspect to our statistics and documentation, as well as improving that transparency. We can truly see the margins of what the work that we're doing, the value of the work that CCSQ and CMS is doing, and provide real-time continual improvement, both with technology, with data quality, and with our program improvements. They know what directions they need to focus on in more of a near real time than we've ever had around CCSQ. Those improvements are on the behest of you, right? If you use our analytic environment and you participate in those quality evaluations, multiple programs that we support, that feedback is critical. Know the direction that we're going, know the technologies, know their limitations, know their boundaries, suggest new tools, bring those ideas to the table as you do your day-to-day work. We want to work with you. We want to find out the best ways of solving our quality initiatives. And to that point, if there's any roadblocks or challenges and any issues that you have, we want you to raise those up, because we want to establish standards that work for our entire community. We want to establish baselines. We want to make sure that your deliverables can be done the most in a most efficient manner as possible. The programs, strategically drive a lot of the direction and the work that our analytic communities do. And we want to make sure we give the value of the data, quality of the data, the consistency of the data, identify the information within that data, make sure it's searchable, et cetera. So we get those better outcomes and evaluations of the data. And we know the level of efforts, and this is to me the transparency aspect. We know the level of effort it took to get to that data, to get to that, because sometimes the juice is not worth the squeeze, and we want to make sure that we are, the level of effort is equivalent to the quality outcome that we're looking for in the work. And again, a negative value in that isn't bad, but it lets us not keep doing it over and over again. We can focus on things that have a higher qualitative output to what the center does and CMS does. It allows us to change directions as needed and provide that kind of feedback to our programs and that to my teams to improve the overall analytic environment. So we again keep this cycle going of continual improvement with our workloads and with our technology stack. As anyone in the analytic field can attest, we live in interesting times. That particular the amount of change that is going within our environment for analytics, the value of the data, the flexibility of the data, the combination of data with multiple external sources is ever growing. It's not just one data set joined to claims. It is becoming a very diverse, and it's one thing the public health emergency taught us and COVID taught us, it is that there are multiple agencies, multiple data sources, all producing similar and like data, and there is a value to the federal government to make sure that we are in alignment where possible with the collection of this data. Right? Collect once, use many is kind of an ideal state for us. Baby steps to get there, but it is an ideal state we want to strive for. Partnerships with necessary organizations, interagency agreements, third parties, making sure we get that collaborative aspect, transparency to data, and most importantly, security of the data, right? Making sure the right people are seeing the right data in the right context as they are supposed to. That is really the heavy lift of everything that we're doing today, is making sure in the context of the work that you're doing, the right people are seeing the proper outcomes. If you're not supposed to see it, we don't want you to see it. That's why DUAs are so heavy. I believe they will talk about that very much in the new portal that we're standing up, making sure that your DUAs are up to date and accurate, so you get the necessary data from the proper sources of information, not abstracted data, not that you're actually pointing to what we identify as a system of record, either within the CDR or within the CMS as a whole, wherever those records are hosted. So when evaluation is done by multiple programs, the source of the data has always come from a single, again, ideal space. It is, again, that goal that we need to set for ourselves is to make sure we get that consistency of our reporting, that if you repeat the same query next year, you get the same result. Looking back in time, that is a goal that we do. But if we have multiple claims repositories, multiple claims filters and abstracts, and a necessary churn of that, we may not get the same results twice, especially if two different analysts run the same particular query with data validation and similar functions. So we want your input on that, right? Where is the records that you feel are that source of truth? We make sure we have that connection to that source of truth one way or another, so we can give you that consistency in the quality of that data for every query that is done. The near-term focus, again, is on kind of just making sure we have more tools in our toolbox that are of value to our community. I don't want to just dump tools out there and say, use them if you want them. I want to make sure you need them, right? I want to make sure the level of effort to stand up another enterprise service, and that really is the key here. Standing up these services for an individual is not a big deal. Standing it up as an enterprise service takes significant effort. Like I said, once you work all the federal laws and regulations and the security aspect of things within it, it becomes somewhat of a challenge even for some of the simplest tools that are out there. And we want to make sure that when that effort is applied, that it is of value to the majority of our community, not all, but a majority. The strategic focus, we want to make sure that we get in line with your deliverable goals. Keep in mind that the analytics team handles, yes, the efficiency and usefulness of the tools that we have behind the scenes. They have a lot of domain expertise that can assist with quality of queries and such with the work that you're doing. So we are always here to help and assess what you're doing to see if we can provide any valued input, and you use as you see fit. So with that strategic, that is ongoing. We want to make sure that that improvement opportunity is there for everyone, that we are going to improve your day-to-day analytics over time to make sure that the tools are always available and providing the consistent performance and output that everyone should demand. The midterm, I'm getting a question in Slack, I apologize. So with the midterm features, again, we're looking at multiple tools in the near future. If you're not paying attention to the ChatGPT and generative AI, you're not paying attention. So that is a huge focus that we are looking to evaluate in the fairly near term. That's 6-ish months that we want to evaluate. Future state. It allows a more layman or non-data scientist or analyst capabilities of doing some fairly complex search capabilities. We are looking to expand and evaluate that usefulness within our federal space. As I mentioned earlier, those laws and regulations do not permit us to use the current open source tooling that is around those generative AI. So we are evaluating what can and cannot be used within our environment. With the pilot capabilities and the roadmap, we'll get into those things with future briefings. HCD, that feedback that I'm referring to, is absolutely critical, again, to get your feedback, get your input, what is and is not working, what is and is not challenging, what is and is not burdensome for your teams, so we can plan that level of interaction with you to find out what does meet those particular requirements, right? We're balancing roughly a 2,500 user community on this functionality, and I expect that community to grow significantly. With that come to the data mindset, right? Less distributed data means more people are coming into our environment to do analytics. So more data will become available. So we want to make sure those deliverables are meeting the usability aspect in feedback. And Luster is kind of a near-term solution that we're doing. So one of the acknowledgments with the SaaS platform is the current data storage architecture is somewhat, how should I put it, challenging to maintain on the underlying architecture within the product. The data gateways and whatnot just routinely disconnect, just to let everybody know. This will allow us to get away from that architecture, provide a high-performing file system for SaaS. We did a pilot with a couple teams on the usability and on the performance of the particular product, and it came back as a very positive state from those pilot teams. So we are moving forward with that, and I'll let the team get into the details of what that looks like in their discussions. But go ahead and move us forward on slides, if you would, please. So keep going. So with the come to the data, I mentioned that huge philosophical change within CCSQ. is we are going to produce less and less exported data. There will be efforts in the future to audit, monitor, and control data loss. That's data loss prevention to make sure we know what data is moving both in and out of our environment, and that contractually we're only moving out that which is needed contractually. So please, we will brief continually at our town halls on the status of this effort, because I know that has a lot of attention out in our community and what this means to each one of you. And it means something different to each one of you, but I want to make sure that we keep the community informed about the progress and the continued improvements around this area. Next slide, please. So here's some basic statistics that I absolutely love to show. So I think we're actually around 2293 or somewhere, 2,300 users is really where we're sitting around. You can see the number of jobs we're running, within our environment a quarter. It's not an insignificant number. Up until recently, we had SaaS. That was pretty much the only solution that we had out there. Obviously, more tools coming in. So we are looking at increasing from Databricks to get the success of Databricks out of the way and move towards other tools to provide better insight. And that could be any number of tools. We're looking at like dbt and Snowflake and a few other tools that are sitting out there to see if it fits within our framework and actually provide an additive value to the analytics day-to-day that we run. As you see, 150 organizations make up that 2,500 users and growing. We are constantly onboarding new organizations within our environment. Every new contract that comes out, new organization comes on board. Next slide, please. So here are the advantages, again, as I mentioned at the high level with the data transparency, data efforts, why come to the data. This ultimately will reduce our data duplication and our extract necessity, right? The idea that we are producing dozens, if not hundreds, of various extracts for unique use in the community. We have greatly reduced that already within our environment, but we hope to reduce that further, is that everyone can come in and produce their own extracts. That's really the goal of what we're talking about here is you get what you need from that source information. So any unique filters, any unique applications, any unique joins, you can do those queries yourself, get the extracts you need for your work, and work it within our environment. Again, we get to see that transparency of the data, what's being used by whom and how often, and provide the value to see if there's improvement opportunities around the data itself. The program is always looking for that as part of their improvement, better measures, et cetera. So without knowing that, it becomes difficult from the CDR perspective to provide any valuable changes to our environment. And that's where we hope to change this, is to get that insight in how the data is being used and get the feedback from our community on what is missing. Or actually, in what works well. That would be helpful. It's always nice to hear a good word. So the CDR, we want to, again, I've kind of beaten this one to death, but we want that user-driven solutions. It's got to be valuable to the majority of our community, making sure. So any new tools, any functionality that is needed, right? We either want to work with you to see if it is a natural fit within the CDR, or it is a one-off, it is needed, right? And contractually, there's a different methodology for it. We want to work with you on making sure that is, or if we can offer a better alternative or just an alternative to what you're doing or have traditionally done and provide it as an enterprise solution that we could work towards a migration path to. We want to work with you on what that could look like. And maintain high-level data security. Again, that is paramount to what we do. As we grow our data, more and more IAAs, interagency agreements, are being signed, and it limits who can see what data for what purpose. There's all this balancing of spider web of access controls that need to be put in place. Again, that really comes down to the bulk of the complexity for what we do, is making sure in coming to this environment, in the sharing of data, that we can't inadvertently share the wrong data with the wrong teams. And it can be very easily done. A team with access to a file could easily share inappropriate data to another team that does not have access to that data via DUAs. We need to figure out what that control looks like and make sure the right people are seeing the right data. Next slide, please. So these are the big outputs that we want to get out of our program objectives. So provide high-level quality data and metadata, right? So growing that gets us to that better stage of searchable data, making sure we understand the qualitative, even the quantitative aspects to our data as we go forward. Just making sure that we're maturing the data sets that we are producing, learning from it, making sure we're tagging them, getting that metadata set up and available for you for queries. Stability and performance, acknowledge that there are challenges at time with keeping systems up, both systematically and coding wise. I've said this before, I believe I said it on the QualityNet conference. If you heard that one or two individual bad codes being dropped into SaaS can bring down the entire SaaS platform. We usually engage with teams where something like that happens. Somebody inadvertently did a star select, on a claims, and it just takes every resource the platform can offer up in order to complete that, multi-billion row kind of query. So we want to work with you on those standards, on better SQL efficiencies, on making sure the coding practices are being followed, creation, so we can create shared code that all the community can leverage as part of their analytics. Those type of improvements and feedback from you are critical for us to meet those type of goals, and also to provide a better stable platform for the community, explicitly around the SaaS VIA platform, just to make sure it is available at a maximum percentage of time that's possible with the platform. Databricks should help with that a little bit. If you choose to use that particular tooling, it should give you closer to personal compute. So anything that you execute only impacts you or your team at most, and depends on the scenario, to the functionality or impact of any single event. So that's one of the main drivers with the tooling, was allowed us to do a lot more distributed and personalized compute to everyone, to make sure that your compute is maximum performance and maximum availability as we can get. Standards and governance, again, this is an improvement opportunity similar to the quality data and metadata bullet, is just making sure that we are learning how you're using our data to get the improvements of that quality of data, make suggestions to the program. If you collect a couple more elements, this data will be in a mature state to achieve something, instead of looking for this data in third parties and joining it, and it doesn't necessarily line up. But also making it searchable, right? Making sure the searchability, what you're allowed to see, you'd be able to do a search. So getting that lineage established, so you know who's touched it and done what to it, is a huge improvement that we're going to be doing in the very near term. And again, security. You're going to see that many and hear that many times in these sessions, just to make sure you hear what we're saying here. Is we're making sure we don't want that data leakage, accidentally, is what we're trying to avoid here. Is it's so easy to publish data to a community that shouldn't be seeing it. There's got to be a little bit of due diligence around that. But to that point, training, guidance, collaboration, getting communities of practice with everybody, get a collaborative environment. We're all part of the future state of our environment, is making sure peering can occur, questions on successes, on use of data sets, things like that. We want to make sure we have a platform available for you all to not only raise these type of things, leverage existing training recommendations, standard code sets that we're producing, but also share with each other on those successes, because we have a very mature analytic community out there who've been doing this for quite a long time for CMS. Standards and governance, something that's coming, better data governance as well as technological governance, is all happening behind the scenes. You're going to see a lot more publications in the future about those practices around our data. And we always look forward to your feedback on what that means to you. We will always circulate it as part of an FYI, so we get that feedback before we actually implement any policies from a CMS perspective. We'll circulate it with the cores, with the program leads, et cetera, and leadership, of course, through our internal governance process and our data council, to make sure everybody's aware of the changes, potential program impacts, or potential program improvements that it brings to the table. Next slide. And I believe this is a handoff here.
No, I think that's still you, Ken, at this point.
Yeah, I should have labeled that, shouldn't I? So again, I touched on a lot of these on my agenda slide, but Databricks, I'm really excited about Databricks. I think it brings a lot of power in tooling to our environment that we've traditionally just not had in CCSQ. It brings a lot of current industry standard, technologies, development languages that are just very common within the analytic community today. So if you're not familiar with it, we do have available, and Databricks has been great at providing some entry level to intermediate and advanced level training videos and information that we're happy to share. I'm sure Rachel and the team will share all the necessary links to see this information. So as you see, we've also upgraded data sets, which is a continual effort. Just to let everybody know, we're always going out and finding new data sets. We're adding it to the CDR. I envision this will only grow within the next year, the number of data sets, because we're trying to identify data sets that multiple teams use and add that as a resource to the CDR instead of the individual teams managing it, which is a common practice today. The teams don't know each other using same data sets. NHSN is a good example of that, and a few others that where you just don't know. So we want to make sure it published data sets and you're aware of it. And again, we're back to that metadata and quality of data kind of control. So you're all referencing the same data sets. You should get the same results. They haven't been ETL'd or modified in any way, shape, or form. You're getting the source information with the work that you do. Next slide, please. So the training I touched on, operational improvements. So we're getting much better at our analytics as far as it goes with monitoring of jobs and environmentals on what is currently running and when. It's a common practice, and reasonably so. Somebody starts a big job or queues up jobs for a weekend, and if there's any issues, we don't know that those big jobs are running because we're focused on the issues. It can cause, when we restart a service, those jobs get resubmitted and it causes a problem again, any number of things. So we're getting much better at monitoring for those systems, communicating to our, the community on the impact to those individuals or teams based on those jobs that we know. So all this, especially with the Databricks coming in, we give a lot more insight and be able to reach out and actually talk to the impacted teams, one-on-one now, as opposed to general broad community that someone may or may not have seen in the approach. So we're targeting our responses much more efficiently these days. And obviously continual improvement on SAS Viya. We recognize this is a very heavily used platform, especially by a relatively small number of people, 200, 300 people are our really heavy SAS users within our environment. I mean, heavy SAS users within our environment. And we want to make sure that system is available for their successful deliveries and make it more and more performant as we go along. That stability is critical, and it is a constant discussion within the teams on improving this behavior. And we are routinely opening up SAS inquiries about improving this environment as well. Next slide, please. More training, Databricks. I can't beat that in the ground much more. Is that we do have training available. We will post where that training is posted, are available to you in this meeting. And tools. Okay, we're actually at the phase of deployment of Databricks. So Databricks SQL is replacing our Embari / Hive underlying architecture. So we are moving to Databricks SQL to provide that same functionality and decommission our Embari. I believe this will bring huge performance increases across the board, not just Databricks, but to SAS. It's absolutely a positive step, as a lot of SAS analytics is outsourced to Embari. We want to make sure that the product is much more performant. And in our pilot and evaluation phase of the tooling, it always was, just to let everybody know. So between Luster and the Databricks SQL, we're going to have a massive performance increase to SAS Viya as well as the new tooling of Databricks. Next slide. So this is a big step. So we are creating a unified experience for everyone using this portal. You're going to see this thing go from nothing to something over the next year. So we're going to use this portal for all things quality analytics. This will be the landing page for everything. So whether you're using SAS5, you're using QuickSight, anything that's deemed an analytic medium, we're going to make this a single point of entry to get training, do access controls, to do data management, to do multitude of services all around the analytics medium, and try and give that kind of single pane of glass, at least from the initial experience of coming into the quality analytics environment, for our community. So again, looking for what works and does not work from our community is a critical element to the success of this. This is pure HCD. This is pure usability. Instead of having all these disparate endpoints and different user experiences and different functionalities and follow path A to get to path C. And we want to get out of that behavior. We want to make it kind of this usable environment for our community, much more simplistic. Even give our cores and federal team members a space to provide their feedback for their experiences and their individual contracts. So look forward to this, pay attention to this. It will mean a lot in the behavior of the future, way the analytics environment as a whole is going to be moving. This will be kind of your touch point. And again, we'll share this URL when it is available. Next slide, please. So that first bullet, getting additional data sets available to us it is ever growing. We're working with partnerships for us to share data with the Enterprise Data Lake. We've done onesie-twosies on the sharing of data with we definitely are partners with the MDM team, who we get a lot of the PACOS and MPES data from now. They've been a great partner in our work. And it has made a lot of information successful. For our success, we are growing that and working actively with the team members and including the IDR that's going to IDR in the cloud. That is an effort that we are tracking to and working with the IDR team to see when we can integrate our CDR to connect to that data. As they migrate and modernize their platform, we want to be a partner in that. Again, the whole thing is so we're not duplicating our data. We really want to get out of that behavior as a practice. I already talked on the luster and the performance that can bring from that, right? So there is a workbench migration in process. I'm sure the team will talk about where we are in that process. But this is fundamentally why we're moving workbenches around, is to handle both the kind of Databricks and the Luster migration. So pay attention to that when the team's talking to you. There is a positive outcome at the end of that particular migration. It allows us to get 5-year-old architecture out of the picture, get a faster file system in the picture, and provide that functionality increase and that performance increase to everyone. They use the SAS, obviously. Next slide, please. So transparency, talked about that. Policy, governance, basically measures, supporting measures development, all the program initiatives and deliverables, we're all major partners in what we're doing. We want to hear your feedback. Make sure that what we are doing is providing that value. It is not lost on me, having put my own parent through these quality systems as part of their medical stay, that we do in the IT work that we do impact individuals, bennies, and family. And I take that very seriously as it impacted me personally. I want to hear what's going on and what is and is not working. That investment that I have for my own personal life, it reflects on me and my professional life. I'm very serious when I say this. It is not just talking to the community. We want your impact because I do realize it does impact individuals. High quality data accuracy, we got to get better at this. So we are looking at multiple efforts within our environment for future state with improving our data quality, lineage, catalogs, standardized data models for us to work from. I'm sure everybody is paying attention to FHIR. There's a huge CMS movement on FHIR. We're going to do some evaluations on what that looks like, either dealing with FHIR in its native format or existing data sets into FHIR. Multiple efforts are going to be done around that to see what does work, see what level of efforts there are with it. Does it rob from the data accuracy? Is there changes we need to make to the data in order to support a methodology moving to a standard data model? Things like that are coming. So for your awareness, if you hear that, please pay attention because it could fundamentally change some of our data structures and data sets that we make available to the community. And if that impacts you from traditional or historical analytics that you've done, we want to hear from you what it means to you. And data catalog, as I just mentioned, major improvement opportunity to give searchable metadata across our data sets, get some consistent data catalog themes and schemas and information about definitions about what programs do what with their data, and that goes from our major programs to individual data sets generated by our third-party analytic contractors, to make sure that when data is published for consumption, that a data catalog accompanies it. And we want to set the standards about what that data catalog entry looks like. That could be from standardizing our data catalog documentation and definitions to a tool. So we're evaluating the value of that. We're also working with OIT, CMCS, and others on their data catalog success or failures, so we can learn from their processes and see what is of value. And we might re-leverage some of those tools or be partners with them in their tooling to see what's successful. So stay tuned for this as well. Next slide. Data sharing, we want to make it more available for our community to actually share data sets. So right now, there is an administrative challenge to share multiple workbenches as an extremely manual effort to make sure the right teams are seeing the right data in this. And like I said, just because you share data with a team doesn't mean the team's supposed to see that data, right? All of it. So we need to make sure that that's right. But this is something we are actively working on, making it valuable to our community and hopefully making it as seamless as possible to the community. So you can almost self-service what team members see and whatnot with a trust but verify kind of methodology here. Data expansion, always. We are always adding various contractors. They're always changing their models. They're always changing the directions the programs are going. I expect with the 13th and additional work in the future, other major programs, that to be a statement from in perpetuity. So by all means, we want to make sure that we are keeping up with those particular efforts, changes in directions, pilots and evaluations we want to know about, just so we can take what you learn in that. Does it apply to an enterprise level, and will it have impacts to other programs if these changes take? We just want to have that awareness to it. And then training, again, this is going to be expanding exponentially, the level of training to our environments. We will have both tooling training and how to use that tooling in our environment. Anyone who's been around federal service for any length of time knows in order to comply with those rules and regs, sometimes things don't work as the private sector, right? So there's some limitations or change in the way the tool is actually instantiated to make it available to our community. We will communicate those nuances. We'll communicate the difference of approaches you might have to take. So we'll make you aware of those deltas that end up with any type of change in the tooling that you would expect from the norm from a private sector impact. Next slide. So QuickSight, absolutely a valuable tooling. It is a BI tool, it is very strong in dashboarding. If you're not using it now, if you're producing PDFs or Excel spreadsheets or attaching it in emails and stuff, we want to hear from you. We want to direct you, see what support we can give you in the use of QuickSight, making the same data that you're producing today just available in the QuickSighter dashboard. There are many options that can be done with this, from making this dashboarding capability available to you, to your business community, programs, et cetera, in making sure. As of today, it does require authentication, so this has to be a HARP-enabled user in order to get into this tooling and to make dashboards available to them. Because of that security criteria that I mentioned, we have to make sure we know who's logging in to see what. And what's next is, again, we're looking at what the impact is of making public available QuickSight dashboards. There are some logistics and financial things to consider with that CMS is working behind the scenes to make sure it is advantageous and not overly costly to apply those, but stay tuned. We will be working in that direction to see what we can figure out how to apply this tooling. By the way, QuickSight, if you host your own service, your own application that is approved by CMS, you can embed QuickSight dashboards within your tool or within your sites and et cetera for you to execute on, right? So it looks like it's natively from your product, even though it's using an enterprise service to deliver the functionality. Next slide. And pilots. So this is something new this year, believe it or not. It started actually probably late last year, but we are doing continual pilots on new tools, technologies, standards, so we can better understand, does the tool actually work as expected in our environment? I am typically an overly cynical kind of person, and many times we have purchased products that end up sitting on shelf for way too long, right? It is not something, because of the complexity of integration, it doesn't quite work in the federal space as it does in the private sector. And it ends up this prolonged or delayed implementation because of all those nuances we have to resolve before we stand it up as a service. So we're getting away from that by doing scale pilots and running actual production workloads through those tools to make sure it works as advertised, that it works in federal space with those FISMA boundaries and within the ARS and TRA compliances, and making sure the tool is actually what we need it to be for the outcome you all expect. So again, you're going to see communications on pilots. If it is something you are interested in, you think you bring value to the table, we encourage you to participate in those pilots, provide your feedback in those pilots. We will do routine communications on what pilots are here and coming to make sure if you have an interest, professional or contractual, that we can work with you on the improvement and on the consistency of that product. It's critical for us to be successful. It's no longer just hand you a tool and hope it works. We want actual proof that it works before CMS commits to any further tool improvements within our environment. So, and with that, the last bullet, again, participation, user acceptance testing. We want to run production workloads. Very simple. So a lot of these pilots will take place in what is considered our prod environment. It'll be a separate instance, but connecting to the prod data. So that's why it's a limited community, you doing those UATs, but we want that community. We want the involvement to make sure it's working for you. I can tell you all day it's going to work for you, but if it doesn't work for you, it's not really valuable to your work, and it's more a hindrance than it's a help. So we want to make sure we get that feedback. Next slide. And if you haven't got the word feedback from me enough today, I want to make it clear, here's feedback. So if anybody doesn't believe me, this is a theme. We need your feedback. I'm going to say that probably for the next year, is that we have traditionally at CMS, I've been a 28-year Fed, we give you tools. We have got to break that cycle. We have got to make sure that this cause and effect that we are making available an idea, you can provide feedback on that idea, tool, whatever, before we commit to the long term of it, right? So in that evaluation, we don't want you to run any of your true production workload through it. You can't run a tool that we might say, no, this doesn't work, right? We don't want your production workload in that. So keep that in mind. It's something we can turn off. Pilots can fail. That's really the general philosophy change, is we are embracing the agile methodology of fail fast. So we want to do these things in weeks or months, not in months or years. We need these things quick turnaround, fail fast, go to another product. Hopefully we test that quickly, and then we can actually stand it up and make it available as a tool within weeks or months. That is really a goal in an ideal space we're trying to get to. SaaS stability. As I said, I believe in transparency within CCSQ. An operational dashboard will tell you the status of any system within the QualityNet environment, which are dozens, systems and services, I should say. We go down to the service level in some cases, from network stabilities to applications to the services in the applications, including SaaS and our data and analytics environment. So look forward to that. It's called QNOD. If you see anything to come out, you're going to see that. This will give you a direct link to a site that you will be able to say, what's the status of the environment of what's important to me? You'll be able to see it. That is something that'll be in real time, not filtered, not here's a static page. It'll be real time statistics by Canary endpoints and multiple tooling, Splunk logs, real time data that you'll be able to see that moment. It'll be like a second delay. So keep that in mind. So you're wondering if the system's up, you'll see it. It'll be right there in real time. That will hopefully help us increase to the point of the SaaS stability. Again, we got 4 or 5 year old architecture running on it. What we thought was right 4 or 5 years ago may not be right now. The increased workloads, the change in workloads, the focus on how we're doing it. We're adapting that underlying technology again with the Databricks and Databricks SQL and the Lustre file systems, as well as internal improvements to SaaS Via with a better kind of infrastructure as code approach with that particular product instead of a manual configuration that it was originally set up with and is today. That is coming in a very, very near future. Behind the scenes stuff, I know it's not exciting, but we are proving out the stability of that change before we actually implement it in our production. We're applying the same pilot rules to ourselves as we will to every other team and effort that we do. I talked about state of the system. That's a QNOD effort. Ability to discover tools, right? Again, everybody has a different deliverable. We've done it in different ways. I know we got some Power BI users out there. We have some third-party applications, a couple custom ones sitting out there. Again, we're trying to find a kind of a water level with the tools that are useful to our community, valuable to our community. Kind of land on that. We can't have a bunch of one-offs and call it an enterprise. Again, if Power BI and SaaS run the same analytics, will they get the same result? I think rounding errors alone would give you a different result, right? So we want to make sure that we're considering all that type of behavior in the direction that we're going and seeing what that programmatic impact in making those decisions. And again, be transparent in those decisions and why we made them, not just declare it. Next slide.
All right. So thank you, Ken. I think at this point, Ian is going to cover some slides on human-centered design. But again, if you guys have any questions for Ken or the content that he provided, we are going to have a Q&A in a couple of minutes. So feel free to drop those in the chat and we'll ask those to Ken. So Ian, I'll hand things over to you now.
I do want to say thank you to everybody for showing up today. 280 some people, it's phenomenal. And I apologize. They said, could I eat up a half an hour? And obviously I did not have a problem with doing more than that. So thank you all for putting up with me and have a great data camp.
Well, and I'm going to say thank you to Ken and hello, everybody, for basically talking about most of what I wanted to talk about, which is that we want your feedback. Surprise, surprise. So we've got a human-centered design team here that's spread over a bunch of different properties, but really our goal in all of these cases is to make sure that we're building solutions that deliver real value. We don't just want to ship stuff because it's neat. We want to ship stuff because it's solving real problems. We use a broadly understood double diamond approach here, where really the goal is just make sure that we're building the right thing and that we're building it right. And along the way, we use feedback surveys, discovery interviews to help prioritize those efforts and make sure that we are trending in the right direction. And to do this, we got to work directly with our users, real users with skin in the game, people who are tackling these workflows every day, really engaging with our products, and then co-design solutions that are solving real problems with those things. And our goal is especially in Portal, but around also some of the other pilots like the data lineage and the data catalog, as well as some of our dashboards. Our goal is to go and test these things with real people, get the real feedback, and then iterate until we get it right. So I think I'm just going to echo the broad commitment from Ken earlier to really making sure that our development is in direct dialogue with the real user community. But to that end, if you want to advance the slide, I also want to make a shout out for getting proactively involved with us. We have a variety of different touch points with you and our user community. We're going to be working really directly to make sure that we're reaching out where and when appropriate. But also, if we can get you to reach out to us and indicate your interest in getting involved, so much the better. Thank you, Rachel. The link is in the chat there for just a quick intake survey. that's going to help us gather some background information to make sure that we're getting the right users into the right studies. We don't want to be a burden just for the sake of saying that we've talked to users. We want to make sure that we're testing stuff with folks who are the most relevant subsection of our community, that are using the products, that are going to be affected by the changes that we're making. And so if I could ask you to either now or at some point in the near future, just take a look at the survey. I'll be dropping it in the CCSQ channel as well, just to get a few background demographic informations about who you are, what you do in our system. And then if you're a match, we'll reach out in the future to schedule calls. And absolutely voluntary. Time's going to vary between 15 minutes to an hour, depending on what we're looking at. Please say no. Please volunteer your colleagues if you think a colleague would be a better fit. But just to sum up again, this really is a joint effort. And to make sure that we're living out this commitment to delivering real, concrete, tangible value streams incrementally to the community, the more that we can work directly with you all, the better our efforts are going to be, and the better the value that all of us are getting out of the CDR is going to be. So I'll stop there and let folks who have more valuable comments chime in. But if you have any questions, I can be responding in the chat, or you can message me directly on Slack as well. I'm always keen to have a conversation.
Wonderful, Ian. Thank you so much. And as Ian said, I did drop the link into the chat for that survey if you're interested in being involved in future HCD studies. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Mohammed, who's going to cover slides on the Lustre file system migration.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Ken. Yeah, as we've been talking about the roadmap and all of the improvements and system stabilization efforts that are coming our way in the near term, this quarter, we're going to be working on the Lustre file system migration. And really, as mentioned before, Lustre is an alternative to the storage gateway implementation. And it has proven to enable faster performance for all workloads that read and write from the Workbench folders. And so as a part of this effort where we're trying to roll this out to the wider user community, we are consolidating all user data in the environment to a single centralized location that has Lustre enabled. Now, what do we need from you guys? It's springtime. It's time to start doing some spring cleaning. So if everyone could take some time to clean up their workbenches, to remove any unneeded files, any outdated or archived files, anything that is just no longer needed. That way we can really reduce the amount of data that needs to be migrated, and of course, reduce overall storage costs for the environment. Next slide, please. So what can you expect over the next couple of months as we roll out Lustre? We're going to be doing 3 phases of groups. So one each production maintenance window. And for those of you that don't know, our production maintenance windows are the first Friday of every month. And so we're going to be doing this between May and August. Groups will be notified the week prior to migration. And so we'll send out a communication the Monday before that Friday maintenance window, letting you all know, hey, you've been selected, your data is going to be migrated. And then once everything has been successful and completed during the maintenance window, the following week we'll send out a communication, just letting you know that, hey, everything's complete, everything's done. We'll ask you to perform some, validation, ensure that no corruption of files has occurred. If there is, no big deal, we can restore it. All the data from the previous environment is still available. And also just to make sure that you're confident that everything has been migrated properly. And so coming up here in a second, if you can go to the next slide, please, there's going to be a survey. For the majority of users in our environment, we're going to be using that phased off hours approach during each of the maintenance windows. But if you or your organization would like to be kind of an early adopter of this, where we could migrate your workbench during business hours, then a survey will pop up asking you if you would like to do so and asking you to provide your contact information. And so I'll let you kick it off, Rachel.
Great, thank you. So that poll should be on your screen now. Again, if you're interested in being a part of it, you can fill that out. If you're not interested, either just hit no and submit, or just don't even take the poll, just ignore it. So we'll get around a minute or two just for folks to input their information if they are interested, and then we'll continue to our Q&A at that point. Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you.
So we'll give it around 1 more minute. In our Q&A, Ken will be answering questions during the Q&A for his portion, but if you also had HCD questions or, Luster migration clarification questions, feel free to also put those in the chat. We will have all those 3 speakers answering questions during that time. All right, so I give it around 15, 20 more seconds, and then we'll end the poll. And again, if you say no now too, or you're not wanting to answer it at this time, but if you think in the future that you would like to be involved, you can always reach out to us and we'd be happy to coordinate with you. All right, so I'm going to end the poll here. Thank you all who submitted. So let's go ahead to the next slide and answer some questions for the Q&A. All right, so Ken, the first one will go to you. A user asked, data transfer from the CDR to IDR by touching the mainframe is a huge pain point and cumbersome. Would like CMS to make this less burdensome and more seamless. Do you have any thoughts to that, Ken?
So IDR connectivity. So that is something we are actively working on. I casually mentioned it earlier, but it's not an insignificant effort. So the current model is basically connect to an ADM, do your analytics over in the IDR and move your data out of the IDR. So in the short term, that's still the model. So we are working with the IDR team when they're doing IDR in the cloud to connecting into that instance using Snowflake. So that improvement's coming. They keep telling us November. I'm hopeful of November, and we'll look at that level of integration. We are also working with the IDR team to see if there's an interim solution we can do where we can directly submit jobs into the IDR without Snowflake. But of course, since they're updating and migrating, they're kind of hesitant on that. So, but we are working with them to see if we can get that kind of interim kind of access to the IDR. But we hear you, acknowledge you. We have that particular requirement, necessity for us to go. And we definitely want to integrate with their Snowflake once that is up and online for us. I hope that answers the question.
Great, thank you, Ken. All right, so next question, Ken, this will go to you as well. Will there be a seamless integration between Databricks and QuickSight?
It might be a little bit of a nuanced answer, right? So what we can do is you automating of Databricks. We can have an integration with QuickSight. There's a recent plugin available for that. And there's also the ability for Databricks to write to a common location that QuickSight can access and update that way. So there's kind of multiple ways of solving this problem or this use case. So the simple answer is yes, there is a way.
Awesome. I want to touch again on the IDR question we had. We have a follow-up question from another user. There's more context in the chat, but getting to the question, why are the CDR and IDR both running as similar data systems with some differences? Are there plans to combine them and keep the upsides of either of them or both of them?
A lot of good questions. Okay, so knowing the systems serve different communities as a whole. So IDR does have claims data, has pretty mature claims data and some additional data sets that are in there. And the CDR team also has our NCH feed and our claims data that we keep within CDR. The long-term goal is to align with the agency's CMS's approach to claims. So if once CMS designates, this is the agency's claims repository, we will connect to it and deprecate our claims repository. So that has always been the plan since day one of the CDR being created. So the NCH feed, the final actions on that NCH, MQA, MQR feed are all potentially going away. There's no roadmap for that yet, so there's no reason to be concerned about timetables. But the long-term plan is to make it go away once that determination from CMS is made of like the system of truth.
Great, thank you. Another IDR related question, but will IDR Part C data be added to the CDR at some point?
So we are looking at that as an improvement. There's a lot of demand for Part C data. We are working with the necessary agency reps on getting that part data added to the CDR. Whether that is in the form of the IDR or a separate file feed like the current NCH feeds is to be determined. If I was to take a guess, both will be available. So the whole key to that is you need your DUA that says you're allowed to see Part C claims, regardless of either approach.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ken. So I know you touched upon improvements for the data catalog during the presentation. There was a question, will the data catalog documentation be improved in the near future?
So again, that's an active project right now, is working with so right now each line of business and data owner produces their own data catalog. That's why there's such a discrepancy. Everybody take a different approach to it. From a governance perspective, that's one of the first things we're trying to improve, is get that standardized what should a data catalog look like across all of our lines of business. As you know, there's can be impacts previous years because data structures change, et cetera, et cetera. But again, a generic answer to what you're saying is absolutely, and it's an active project right now.
If I could add to that, this is an example of exactly where we need your input, right? So as we move forward with pilot candidates, as we work through various iterations of our templates, getting feedback from the folks who are actually using this is what's going to let us do that, right? We don't want to be designing this in a vacuum. So if you're invested in it, sign up. We'll love to talk to you about it in the future.